It wouldn't be the first time the government's prophecies didn't come true. And in fact, they have completely revised their EPA tailpipe emissions and EV adoption in the next few years. Long live the internal combustion engine. Today, we're not only going to discuss the EPA's change of heart. Well, mainly it's a business change because automakers are losing $6,000 on every EV they sell. Not Tesla. They figured out how to make it profitable. But all the traditional OEMs are just bleeding money trying to make EVs. So they have to roll back these EV mandates to give them a longer runway to make EVs more viable. Not only that, we have so many more things to accomplish here in the United States, like building out an infrastructure and having batteries that do well in the cold, etc. So EVs become more adoptable, as well as lowering the price. That's all very important. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. My name's Kirk. I talk about industry auto news. I love EVs. I love hybrids. I love gas cars. I love diesel. I pretty much like anything on any wheel that has any sort of form of locomotion. I don't care really what propels it. I find it all fascinating. They can all make sense depending on your needs. And also stay tuned. I am driving the Volvo XC40 Recharge this week, the new rear-wheel drive model. Can't wait to give you my impressions on it. And let's get into the details here. We're starting over at Reuters. The Biden administration on Wednesday slashed its target for U.S. electric vehicle adoption from 67% by 2032. 67%. Now to as little as 35%. So they've halved it. They've halved the requirement of EV penetration by 2032. After industry backlash and auto worker backlash, we know that Biden is like this with the UAW. The UAW is more powerful than ever before. They are expanding. They're getting other OEMs' workforces to join hands with the UAW. So they're becoming more powerful, and they have worry that if EVs take off that fast, that soon, not only are the bottom line of the automakers going to be hurting, and therefore the profitability and long-term longevity of the automakers going to be hurting. EVs require less workers to assemble the vehicles. All right. And so the UAW wants more workers to generate more money for themselves, especially the ones at the top of the union. And now the EPA is adopting more of a technology neutral scheme that allows automakers more freedom to meet emissions with gas electric hybrids. Who's laughing now? After Toyota years ago said, hey, hybrids are the stopgap and we shouldn't rush into EVs before battery technology matures, before the grid matures, before charging stations become more plentiful, all these other things till cost parity happens. They're like, hey, our hybrids are going to reduce emissions on the way to a more fully electrified future. And Toyota doesn't ever think it'll be fully battery electric. They say maybe 30% by 2030 globally, and it's going to kind of level out there. Now, environmentalists don't like that because they want all or nothing. It doesn't work like that in a very complex economy and with limitations that we currently have with battery electric vehicles. Baby steps is the answer, and that will also help automakers make more money. It will also help automakers eventually be able to lower the prices in a realistic manner over time, instead of making a whole bunch where there's not a lot of demand right now and then they just have to slice prices, right? Again, losing $6,000 on every EV. We'll come back to that later. EPA is also embracing advanced gasoline technologies to save fuel, such as turbocharging, lighter vehicles, and start-stop engine. They already do that. We know that this trend was started over in Europe, and we know in Europe, especially in the UK, they have rolled back their end of ICE by 2035 instead of 2030 fairly recently. So it's not just the United States. A lot of these governments around the world mandating EVs by a certain point are going to keep walking back their EV mandates. Is this the last time we're going to see the EPA walk back the mandate? And the answer is, who knows? If Trump gets in for the next presidential election, I wouldn't be surprised if he moves it again. But I feel like this is a good middle ground, honestly. He might actually leave this alone, but we'll see. EPA Administrator Michael Reagan told reporters the new rules would nonetheless achieve the same greenhouse gas reductions as the original EPA proposal for far more aggressive EV transition. He says our final rule delivers the same, if not more, pollution reduction. We designed the standards to be technology neutral and performance based to give manufacturers the flexibility to choose which combination of pollution control technologies are best suited for their customers. Wow, who would have thought? Toyota is interested actually right now in not rushing EVs to the market. They'd rather wait until their technology is ripened and other things have ripened, like I've already mentioned. They'd rather pay green credits than to have a bad investment on premature EVs at this point in time. They're happy to pay credits in the meantime. And in fact, they might not have to pay that many credits anymore because their hybrids are really going to help them bring down their CO2 emissions. And with the new standards from the EPA, Toyota might not have to buy a whole lot of green credits, even though they have a pretty low volume of EVs. But we know General Motors have just recently, before this announcement, said, hey, we're going to go back to plug-in hybrids and hybrids because that's where the market is right now. It is more affordable for us to produce those vehicles, and there's no reason to get rid of our great engine technology when a lot of the demand is cooling for EVs. There's no mandate to fully adopt electric vehicles. The new ruling cuts emissions by about 50% by 2032 over 2026 levels, compared with 56% cuts under the proposal last year. I mean, it's really, really close between the two. You're 7 percentage points away. But with allowing for more technologies to succeed, you might have a better chance of cutting emissions even more due to maybe the entire fleet of certain companies becoming hybridized or plug-in hybrid. So there's a lot more flexibility here in the near future now, finally. And these new percentage targets for EV penetration and adoption are not mandates, but forecasts or guidelines of where the automakers should be with their fleets to meet the regulation standards. Between 35% and 56% of all sales between 2030 and 2032 should be battery electric. But again, certain automakers like Toyota might not come close to that if they don't feel like the customer is asking for it, and they'll pay the green credits if they need to. But again, by 2030, Toyota will be selling 3.5 million BEVs throughout the world. So, and it's not just them, but pretty much everyone will be moved on to gigacasting at that point, next gen batteries, solid state batteries, in theory, by 2032, at least to some extent, solid state batteries. And that is really a game changer. The new regulations will be easier, but hardly easy for automakers to meet given the relatively low levels of US EV and hybrid adoption now. Well, hybrids are growing actually at a faster rate than EVs. EVs were 8% of sales last year. Hybrids, including plug-in hybrids, accounted for 9% of sales, but hybrids are going to be jumping fast in terms of penetration. If we look at, like, say, the Camry is full hybrid now. The RAV4 is rumored. Again, take that with a grain of salt, but I'm hearing that the new RAV4 is going to be fully hybrid and have a plug-in hybrid and a battery electric variant of it. So, that alone is going to move the needle. Those sell hundreds of thousands of units per year. Between the two of them, it's like 600,000-700,000 units per year between the Camry and RAV4. Those are all hybrid, probably after 2025, 2026. If you want to read more about this, I'll put in the description, but check out this study. Automakers are losing $6,000 on every EV they sell. This is worrisome. Imagine if the market was still bleeding money on every EV that they sold by 2030 with the old EPA mandates, I should say. It would have been a complete economic ruin, not only for the United States, but especially the automakers and their workers. Here's what's going on right now. 3,000 U.S. consumers were surveyed by the Boston Consulting Group in January. 40% say they intend their next purchase to be an EV, but they need strict requirements to make the jump. Those requirements would be 20-minute charging times, a 350-mile driving range, and a price of $50,000. There's currently only one vehicle that meets all that ideal criteria, and that's Ioniq 6 SE rear-wheel drive, not the dual motor limited that I reviewed a couple of weeks back, which I absolutely loved. And yeah, we're just look at where the average is right now, somewhere in this area, and we're just nowhere close to that. Now, this is just what people are thinking that they need. In real world usage, maybe they would like to have more range. Maybe they would like to have cheaper prices. It's hard to say for sure, but this is just based off the poll of those 3,000 people. That same Boston Consulting Group said the EV automakers, or should I say the traditional automakers, are losing thousands of dollars on every EV they sell. The group estimates that most automakers lose $6,000 on each EV they sell for $50,000 after accounting for consumer or customer tax credits. If OEMs can't make money in this next generation of EVs, something's going to have to change. Well, we just saw that EPA change. These articles are about, they came out around the same time, March 20th. And this was released to us, I think, also on March 20th. So they came out around the same time. This one actually a little bit earlier in the day. So that big change has happened. Now, automakers don't need to have battery electric vehicles, but they're going to have a lot of them by 2032, just not nearly as many as before, and they're not actually forced to have them. They're saying partnerships are one of the ways that the automakers are going to be able to bring down costs. We just saw Nissan and Honda teaming up for EVs, for their next-gen EVs, but Honda's next-gen EV platform comes out in 2026. Nissan, maybe they're hoping to order some of the same electric motors. Maybe they're hoping to use Honda software, and that will bring down the cost as well. It's really hard to say. We know with Toyota, for example, they have Mazda already on board, Subaru already on board to share EV technologies. Many automakers projected 70% EV sales growth for 2023 based on the sales nearly doubling annually from 2020 to 2022. So they were expecting 70%. We saw only 50%. And in this past January, sales of EVs only increased 15%. They're really leveling out. Hybrids, again, are rising in interest. 56% of consumers interested in EVs for the next purchase, and 43% of long-term EV adopters said they would consider conventional hybrid or plug-in hybrid if an EV did not meet their standards. In the next 5 years, hybrids will see as much attention as EVs in terms of focus and investment for OEMs. And I totally believe that. It's just unfortunate. I think we should have higher levels of available plug-in hybrids on the market. They're just not there yet. Again, the cost for the manufacturer seemingly is just too high. I can't wait to see where the chips fall with all of this. And we might get some really good hybrid technology in the coming years from all the manufacturers instead of forcing BEVs with waning interest from the masses. But I'm going to end it there. I'll see you guys in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great day and peace.